I know there's nobody
There's
here.
nobody there, but
Nobody here.
come by. We'll talk about Hamas.
Nobody cares. This is going to be a fire topic.
You know why we're here today? Yesterday, I had a couple people drop in while I was talking about the Book of Revelation, and they had some questions about.
And I was naked as a jaybird.
Couldn't come in here and
I
talk
was in
about
bed.
it. So we wanted to kind of come in here, and I was gonna pull up a couple, maybe their questions, but. So you have one of our viewers there.
Oh,
hello.
Okay. Hello.
I don't know who that is, but hi. So if you have any questions, well, feel free to drop them in. We are going to be nice and polite to each other, right?
Oh, absolutely. Always am.
We always are kind and polite and patient with each other. And so
the reason I am here is because I'm a historian.
Yeah.
So to speak. And a lot of people tend to have a lot of misconceptions, okay, of what is happening in the Middle East. Now, I am going to give you a qualifier right now. I absolutely do not believe that America should be taking part in this Middle East stuff. It never turns out good. We should be done. I am in my 60s, and when I was in the military, we were still playing around. This is the same thing now as it was there. We cannot dictate peace in the Middle East. I am also a firm believer that the United States should not belong to NATO, and I believe that the UN is a terrorist organization. I'll get into that later, because all the United Nations does, they prolong suffering.
Yeah.
And as far as NATO, when East and West Germany united into one country, and all these people started doing business with Russia, we should have got out of there. It doesn't concern us now. But that's where I stand, I guess you would call it, politically and morally. Right. I don't believe any of this is our business.
No, we're not supposed to be messing around in there.
On the other hand, I do know quite a bit about what's happening over there. So, anybody have a question? Go ahead and spit it out, or...
I think one of the first... let me bring up a question I had yesterday.
Okay.
And I will share with you. Let me see. Let me pull it up. We got a minute or two here, sure. But how do I look at that? That is not the one. 1 day ago, 2 days ago, those are yesterday.
Right.
So somebody had a question about what was our opinion of the name of their thing was Free Palestine. Had a question yesterday about they had a question that says what do you think about the Israel-Hamas-Palestine conflict, if you mind sharing? So we essentially said, Hamas is a terrorist organization, and they need to be done away with.
Let me give you a quick background on this. You hear a lot of people out there saying in the occupation and things like this. Let me give you a brief history. Israel, what we call Israel, is Judea. All right, that is what it was. Always. It's the only time in history it's ever been self-governing is under the Jews. All right, that's just a fact. I mean, you can take it or leave it. Around 65 to 70 A.D., the Jews had a rebellion called a fella named Bar-Kokhba. I know I'm not pronouncing that right. But he started a rebellion over there. And Vespasian the first and then the second one, they went over there and they cleaned house. All right. Basically, if you read Revelation in the Bible, you will understand that prophecy was fulfilled in 70 AD when they destroyed the temple for the second time. All right. Now, after this revolt, millions and millions of Jews were killed, and yet again, millions and millions were exiled from Judea. Now, Vespasian had a sense of humor, and he'd actually read their text. So what he did was he renamed what used to be Judea. What he did was he renamed it after the Philistines. It was a play on words to insult the Jews even more. But you have to understand, this was not a country. It was not self-governed. It was just an area. All right, there's now been Jews there. There's always been Jews there. It was ruled by the Eastern Roman Empire. Then after the Eastern Roman Empire, when the Turks came in, it was ruled by the Ottoman Empire, and that's really when it became a Muslim country. You got to understand that Muhammad, he's around 660 AD, so he comes into the picture a full 500 years after this, okay? Now, the whole thing about this is the only time that any Palestinians have been self-governing is after the Oslo Accord, which you've all heard that name in history. You don't know what it is, but what it was they the Jews let the Palestinians become self-governing. All right. What that meant was they could form the Palestinian Authority, and they could live under their own rule if they choose to. But you have to understand that Palestinians are not. There's Palestinians in the Israeli government. In the Israeli government, it's one country. Israel has a Palestinian Supreme Court judge. All right. As far as people are talking about Gaza. Well, the reason Gaza is like it is because the Palestinians wanted it this way. In 2004, 5, somewhere around there, I'm not up on the date, let's just go with 2005. They told the Israelis to get out, we're going to take care of ourselves. So they got out, and they were going to take care of themselves. Then the world, UN again, they come in there, and they got a bunch of world people down there, and they put water lines in, they were so they could have their own water system. Well, Hamas instantly moved in, pulled these pipes up, and those are the missiles that you're seeing launched nowadays. Israel, after they pulled out in 2005, they kept shipping water and electricity to the Palestinians living there. Now, the problem with the Palestinians is they're not nice people, okay? They're terrorists. Suicide bombing was very prevalent over there until the Israelis went after the money. What would happen is if you were a suicide bomber and you killed yourself, they would pay your family money. Well, the Israelis went after that money because you're killing people. Okay. But as far as what happened, they did kidnap those people. All right. They did do unthinkable things. Every missile that is launched is not launched at a military target. It's literally launched at apartment buildings and houses and hospitals, and that's what Hamas is doing. Now, let's put this on the other foot. Israel, they're not exactly saints here. They do go after military targets, so when they launch something, they're going after a military target. But this will go on. If the Arab world would allow Palestinians to migrate into the rest of the Arab world, which is quite extensive, we wouldn't be having these problems here. But to quote the King of Jordan, my red line is one Palestinian living on Jordanian soil. All right, so that tells you just how popular they are. They're pawns, okay? And as far as what can you believe, well, I would believe the videos that you've seen because that was Hamas taking the videos. And then they put them online.
That's right.
But, the news is not reliable. You can't trust that. Everything I've told you is true. You can start with a simple Google search and you can word it something like, has Palestine ever been self-governing? and that'll tell you right there.
Yeah.
But you've got to understand, even our government, I mean, you look what's happening in Congress right now, okay? You can't even trust our own congressmen and our own senators, right? If you could, we wouldn't, what they call them, lobbyists, wouldn't exist, right? These people are in Washington to take a bribe from a lobbyist. So you need to figure out who's paying the money.
So, you know, he said you can't trust the media.
Nope.
And we're talking about what they're calling themselves legacy media now.
Whatever.
Okay, whatever they call themselves. So we were talking about your CBS, CNN, ABCs, CB, all those people, Fox as well.
Fox, they're terrible too.
Anybody that's on your regular TV, your cable TV, when you look at the commercials, you need to realize that those people are the ones in charge of the information you are being fed. Okay? That what does it tell you that, like, for instance, in other countries, drug companies are not allowed to advertise on regular television.
Yeah.
And if you ever watch regular TV, which we don't anymore,
Never.
Drug companies advertise on American television, along with your hamburgers and your everything else, because
Bug burgers.
Yeah. Why? Because there's no money in a healthy population. Okay, so the thing with the legacy media is that they are not without self-interest.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
The reason that they, let's say COVID, why it was so blown out of proportion, and now, but they're not telling you the morbidity and all the people that are dying and all why? Because it doesn't sell. Okay, what it used to be the saying, if it bleeds, it leads, or something like that.
Well, I mean, look, there's no money in a healthy population, okay?
Or an educated population, or a well-informed population.
And that's really the problem that we have, is our schools are not really schools anymore. They're more of an indoctrination thing. I was reading a piece, it's probably been about 2-3 years now, and 85% of college students, get your head around that number, cannot tell the difference between an opinion piece and a genuine news story. There is no genuine news, and I'm going to tell you how to just look into this real quick, right? When I was younger, we had genuine news, and they would have a round table, and the round table would consist of 2 or 3 Democrats and 2 or 3 Republicans, and they would argue it out, and everybody would give their own side of the story. Somewhere around, I guess, 2016, they stopped doing that.
That's right.
All right, they just totally stopped doing that. If you were watching ABC, NBC, CBS, what you got was their own pundits, which were all liberals, and they're just sitting there telling you their side of the story. But you got to understand, when you're getting a story to start with, you need to ask yourself, why am I getting this story? The deeper question.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Why is this information being put in front
you have to, if you're looking for a moral right and wrong, it's war. There is no moral compass. It's going to be war. In my personal opinion, I absolutely do not believe that Israel is going to go into the Gaza Strip. I mean, what's the point? There's, they might, but if I was in charge of this operation, no, there's no reason. Absolutely no reason. Egypt is standing firm. They don't want any Palestinians. Jordan has already said that. All right, Saudi Arabia, forget it. They're not taking them, right? Qatar, here's a good one for you, right? The leader of Hamas, okay? He doesn't even live in the Gaza Strip. He lives in Qatar in a mansion. All right, so this is kind of like Black Lives Matter. You look for the leaders of Black Lives Matter, and, they're all living in mansions. They're not out there on the streets. And then when you even go farther, you try to figure out, okay, well, has Black Lives Matter done any good? Because that's what they're preaching. They're going to do good. Have they? Name one thing they've done.
Nothing.
No. Right? Same thing with Hamas, right? They're talking about they want to do things for their Well, name one thing. I mean, they did the most horrible raid ever on civilians, and then they go hide behind more civilians.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
The thing that the people misunderstand, in this country, Christian values and Christian people are maligned all the time,
right?
Saying we're backwards, we're all this and that. The difference between us Christians and Hamas Muslims and terrorists is we Christians coexist, okay? We are to love our neighbor, protect our neighbor, all these things. And they don't want that.
They don't want that.
They want you gone, okay?
Yeah.
They want women in burqas and submissive to the point that is painful. You know what I mean?
Look, I'm a Christian. I've been a Christian all my life. We are church-going people. And I'm going to say something right now that will probably be harsh, but if you're watching this, the only... in the Christian church, the only opinion that is viable in a Christian church is the man's opinion. Women are there to be quiet, clean up, make a sandwich, okay? Now, I know you're going to get all mad about that, but let me tell you something. In Islam, these are not, these people here in America that think they're Islamic, they're not, all right? No. This is two different brands. Over there, you are the husband's property, and your husband is more than likely a reprobate. Mm-hmm. He can do to you whatever he wants to do. He can beat you anytime he wants to beat you, and they're pushing for burqas. Yeah. I think some of these young girls, these college kids, they just don't understand when they're out there, women for Palestine. Yeah, burqa, women for burqas, right? And then you have these gay people. There was a poor feller that went out there in the Palestinian protest in New York. They beat him almost to death because he had a gay flag. These people aren't your friends.
The women, the feminists, all this stuff, the Black Lives Matter.
You're going to be a feminist.
You are, I'm going to say it this way, but you're barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah.
These people do not view equality of men and women like Christians view equality of men and women, okay? I mean, at least we are allowed to make a sandwich in the Christian churches.
And that's something.
Something.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there's no right or wrong. My moral opinion on this is it's wrong. I am quite sure that the Israelis have done some horrible things. But you've got to understand that the Israelis do these things in response of terrorism. When you look at Hamas, they're not accountable for anything. For them, it's all Israel's fault. It's all the women you've kidnapped, and you call them sex slaves in one video, new sex slaves. That's your opinion of these hostages. Yeah. And all the children you've taken and kidnapped and killed, and all the devastation, and 12 or 1,400 people that were killed that were all civilians. No, it's Israel's fault.
Yeah.
All right? I mean, you're like a child. You can't even accept responsibility for what you've done.
And that was the thing, the one question that one person asked. They said, well, they hear that the Israelites have been oppressing Palestine for 70 years or something like that. And really...
that's not really so. What Israel was it was kind of like your original Rainbow Coalition like they had in South Africa. It was supposed to be for everybody. Everybody is going to be a citizen of Israel. We're all going to live together and prosper in peace. But then you got one side that instantly takes to terrorism.
Mm-hmm. And they don't want the...
My big one is people will see things that they don't understand, okay? And they'll say, look, here's a big one. I'm quite sure most people have seen videos of Israeli bulldozers in the West Bank using the bulldozers to tear up highways or streets, right? And they're going, look, the Israelis are tearing up streets, right? Well, yes, they are, but that's not why. Gaza is next to the sea in Egypt. In the north, they're next to Lebanon. These people have access to weapons and munitions. The West Bank is not like that. It is in touch with Jordan and Syria, and no weapons get through there. So what they're doing in the West Bank is they use IEDs. It's a cheap form. You take an artillery shell and you turn it into a bomb. They plant it under the roads waiting for the Israelis to drive over it. All right? So the only way to get the IED out of there is to tear the road up with a special tank. So if you actually know what you're looking at, you have to research it. No one gives you the news anymore, is what I'm saying. You have to understand that when you hear something, you need to research it yourself.
Yeah.
I mean,
you'll hear propaganda.
Yeah.
You'll hear any. I think that one thing that we forget, just because you're on social media,
yeah,
like us,
don't believe
like the
me.
world,
look for yourself.
does not mean you have the entire truth, that you
Right.
have the entire information. But what I will tell you that we do and he does is we check.
Yeah.
You know, we double check and check again, make sure that what we're telling you is as true as possible
Yes.
as we can do it, you know, as we can come to understand it. But the one thing, the American system of education has failed our people, our young people, our young adults. They're very misinformed about what they talk about Marxism
Yeah.
and socialism and all. What is that? In Cuba,
Yeah,
communism.
again,
and all that.
communism, yeah.
They misunderstand what that's about, because I will tell you one thing: the rich will always be rich, and the poor will get poorer.
Ask yourself, I don't know how you feel about the southern border, but you should really be wondering how many terrorists have already come across the southern border.
That's right.
You have to understand that these people are coming from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And if you actually look at the videos and the pictures of these people coming, most of them are young, single men. Yeah, there's a few women, there's a few children. These are not people from South America. These are not people from Mexico or Guatemala. No, these are people from Africa. These are people from Yemen, people from Syria, all right? And now you got to ask yourself, how do these people get there? Who pays their way? Because there's only one way to get into Mexico. You either have to fly in there or you have to come by a boat.
That's right.
Someone is paying to bring these people here. And then they're in big groups of people and they all burst across the border at the same time. We have no idea who these people are. All right?
Yeah.
And it's a dangerous thing. If you look at the protests that are happening in the U.S. right now, it's like,
you know, women pride themselves in this country of body autonomy.
Yeah.
My body, my choice, what I want to do, whoever I want to sleep with, whatever I want to do. And you got to understand that the culture that these people bring in,
you're not going to have a choice
Yeah.
on who you even get as a husband.
That's right.
You're going to take what's given to you.
That's right.
And you're going to hope that he's halfway decent to you and doesn't beat you every night.
The idea that we're going to live in this political utopia where we all get along only works if we all have the same system of beliefs, and they don't have the same system of beliefs you and I do, or you and I do here, because
Yeah.
they don't care.
They don't.
They want you gone.
But let me reiterate, all right, I don't have a pony in this. I believe that America should not give any support, aid, money to these countries at all anymore. Look, we're $33 trillion in debt. We can't even make our basic interest payments on these loans. That means this system is going to go bankrupt pretty quick. What's going to happen after that, I don't know. But think about it, right? We can't even make the basic payment on the money that we've already borrowed, $33 trillion. I can't even wrap my head around how much that is. So where are we getting all this money that we're sending over there to the Ukraine and now here? And I mean, let us not forget the fiasco that happened in Afghanistan. They're finding weapons that we left, United States weapons that we left in Afghanistan, they're finding it in the hands of Hamas. Go figure.
That happened, right?
Yeah.
Duh. Look, we have no control over those countries.
Right.
Honestly,
And
we don't. I don't think so.
we've made them rich. This administration on the first day in office, all right, said absolutely no more drilling. Here's the thing, right? They said, oh, no. We said only, just do a little research. This will crack you up. They said no more drilling on government land. But if you have oil wells, they give you a certificate every year on how much oil you're allowed to drill, which is virtually nothing right now. So where are we getting all this oil? Remember, we were energy independent. So where are we getting all this oil? Well, two places. Iran, I think we've spent $46 billion in the last, 3 years on oil just from Iran. The other oil place that we're getting it from is Venezuela. And now look, you gave Iran backs Hamas. They pay for Hamas. And they also pay for Hezbollah. Mm-hmm. So you've given them an influx of money to pay terrorists so the terrorists can arm themselves better. I mean, it's a simple thing. Remember, the lobbyists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our American government is so corrupt,
bad.
it's not even funny. I mean, maybe it needs to be, re-engineered from the bottom up, from the head up. But what did our fearless leader said, Kamala Harris said, elections or votes have consequences?
Yeah, they have consequences.
Remember, you voted for this.
Yup.
The people that voted for Joe Biden and Kamala, that's what they voted for.
They have these catchy catchphrases, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't understand what the catchphrase is, all right, what it represents, right? Like, free Palestine. It sounds really great. Stop the occupation. But when you really understand, they have more freedom now than at any time in history. Okay, yeah. So obviously that's a catchphrase.
Yeah.
And it's like, my body, my choice. Well, what's the choice? You need to ask.
Somebody's throwing out there the idea that we're going to be drafted into...
Women are supposed to, yeah.
That we're all going to be drafted. Well, not us. I think I'm too old for that.
I did my bit for flag and country.
Did you. But the young people, you guys would be drafted, girls and boys. And there's your equality, You women, we scream for equality and we want everything perfect, but nobody is lining up saying,
no one's lining up to lay bricks.
Yeah, and I want to go to war and I want to
crawl under a house
or build things and stuff like that.
No.
Everybody has an agenda.
Everybody.
We have an agenda. Ours is to let you.
If we can bring a little bit of daylight to one person, a little bit of the Lord, a little bit of daylight to one person. That's it.
Here's a simple thing you can do, I think, which is something we do.
Check everything I've told you.
Yeah.
Just look online and see, is this crazy old fart right?
Yeah. And Twitter, okay? Facebook, I don't remember who I heard say this, but Facebook has become the place where you share the pictures of your grandbabies with your family.
Could be.
Twitter has become the place where you can actually have a discussion now because both sides are being heard. Okay? It seems to me. I could be wrong.
Well, I hope you didn't take it like I'm hollering at you or lecturing you or anything like that. I let you know right out front a few times. I don't believe we should be involved in any of this.
That's right.
I'll tell you the one thing that I firmly believe, we need to shut that southern border. All right? Well, and stop killing babies, but...
Yeah, those are...
That's a different subject altogether.
Yeah.
All right,
At any rate, we're at 28 minutes. We just want to wrap it up and tell you...
I hope that helped because
it helps.
That's what I can tell you about what happens. But you've got to understand that the Palestinians and Hamas, all right, these people have been doing this since 1948, all right? Terrorism is what they deal with. It's no different than when you saw Black Lives Matter marching up and down the street in the summer of 2000. Were they protesting? No, they were tearing stores up, burning them down, stealing stuff. I know they called it a protest, but it wasn't a protest. It was rioting and looting.
Yeah.
All right? Now, that you take Black Lives Matter, who, by the way, supports Hamas, not the Palestinians. They support Hamas. You can look it up. The one up there in Chicago, they got a really great picture on their thing, right, about the parachuters and the hang gliders. All right. So this is what they have in mind. The end goal for all of this is they want to destroy the family unit. They don't want husbands and wives together. All right. They want the government to raise all children.
Why? Because that makes them perfect
Right.
little soldiers to do their bidding.
And you look at the education system now, it is crazy. Do you know when I was a child, if you brought a Playboy magazine into a school, you'd still be in prison right now to this day.
That's right.
And now we got pornographic material here in our school in a small town in East Texas.
That's
We
right.
have pornography in our schools.
Yeah. If you're a parent,
Yes.
you have got to be a diligent parent and be on top of your kids. And
Anyway.
and if you have questions, we're on social media all over the place. It's all linked here.
If my wife can't answer the question, I guarantee you she'll ask me. But anyway,
Yeah. Anyways, we won't have a live stream
do
tomorrow.
your own research.
Yeah. We won't have a live stream tomorrow. It's Sunday.
Sunday.
But Monday we'll come back and I'm sure I'll find something else to talk about.
There you go.
If you have questions, drop them in. All
God
right.
bless.
God bless.
Well, was that lectury?